Hello, and welcome to the Rob Burgess Show. I am, of course, your host, Rob Burgess. On this, our 13th episode, our guest is Martin Shkreli. Yes, that Martin Shkreli. A quick programming note. If you already know the Martin Shkreli saga and just want to hear my conversation with him, go ahead and skip to the end now. Everyone else, keep it locked. Shkreli, a former hedge fund manager and Turing Pharmaceuticals CEO, became internationally infamous in October 2015 when he purchased Daraprim, a drug used to treat toxoplasmosis. There's a good chance you already host toxoplasmosis, especially if you have a cat, but you may never know it. Only children, pregnant mothers, and those with weakened immune systems are at risk for developing symptoms. But for those who do, the symptoms can be severe, even fatal. The medication used to treat patients, pyrimethamine, has been available since 1953. Shkreli inspired indignation when he upped the price of the drug by over 5,000% from $13.50 per pill to $750 per pill. Then, in December 2015, he was arrested by the FBI for securities fraud. He's currently out on bail. On February 4th, Shkreli testified before the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform of the U.S. House of Representatives. His appearance was so brief I can play most of it here. You'll first hear Shkreli and Republican Utah Representative Jason Chaffetz, and then Republican South Carolina Representative Trey Gowdy.
On the advice of counsel, I will not be giving an opening statement.
I want to ask you a few questions. What do you say to that single pregnant woman who might have AIDS, no income, and she needs Daraprim in order to survive? What do you say to her when she has to make that choice? What do you say to her?
On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question.
You were quoted as saying on Fox 5 in New York, you were quoted as saying, if you raise prices and you don't take that cash and put it back into research, I think it's despicable. I think you should not be in the drug business. We take all of our cash, all of our extra profit, and spend it on research for these patients, for other patients who have terrible life-threatening, life-ending diseases. Did you say that?
On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question.
Do you think you've done anything wrong?
On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question.
I'd like to yield time to Congressman Gowdy of South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is it pronounced Shkreli?
Yes, sir.
See, there you can answer some questions. That one didn't incriminate you. I just want to make sure you understand you are welcome to answer questions, and not all of your answers are going to subject you to incrimination. You understand that, don't you?
I intend to follow the advice of my counsel, not yours.
I just want to make sure you're getting the right advice. You do know that not every disclosure can be subject to the Fifth Amendment assertion. Only those that are that you reasonably believe could be used in a criminal prosecution or could lead to other evidence.
I intend to use the advice of my counsel, not yours.
Do you also understand that you can waive your Fifth Amendment right? You gave an interview to a television station in New York where, if I understood you correctly, you couldn't wait to come educate the members of Congress on drug pricing, and this would be a great opportunity to do it. So do you understand you can waive your Fifth Amendment right?
On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm vexed. He's been willing to answer at least one question this morning. That one didn't subject him to incrimination. I don't think he's under indictment for the subject matter of this hearing. So the Fifth Amendment actually doesn't apply to answers that are not reasonably calculated to expose you to incrimination. And even if it did apply, he's welcome to waive it. And I listened to his interview. And he didn't have to be prodded to talk during that interview. He doesn't have to be prodded to tweet a whole lot or to show us his life on that little webcam he's got. So this is a great opportunity if you want to educate the members of Congress about drug pricing or what you called the fictitious case against you, or we can even talk about the purchase of is it Wu-Tang Clan? Is that the name of the album? Name of the group?
On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question.
Mr. Chairman, I am stunned that a conversation about an album he purchased could possibly subject him to incrimination. But
the gentleman is correct. I understand that Mr. Shkreli is under indictment, but it is not the intention to ask him questions about that topic.
So if I understand it correctly, we're not going to ask him questions that are going to be in the subject matter of his current pending criminal charges. And if we were to get close to one or in the gray area, he's welcome to assert his Fifth Amendment privilege there. And if we stay away from the subject matter of his indictment, he is, some could argue, has a legal obligation to answer under Kasgar versus United States, but certainly has the right to do so, as he did in the television interview and as he does quite frequently on social media.
The album you heard mentioned there is another story entirely. Starting in 2008, rap group the Wu-Tang Clan spent 5 years recording an album only one person, one who couldn't legally profit from it until 2103, could purchase. In May 2015, Shkreli was the winner of an auction for the album, paying $2 million. Here's Wu-Tang Clan leader the RZA being interviewed by Bloomberg on January 6th. They were the same organization who broke the story in December 2015.
So this guy comes along, Martin Shkreli, who you don't really know. I guess you had lunch with the guy once, right?
Yeah. They said we have another guy. He just came on board. He's interested. He's young. He's a Wu-Tang fan. He loves hip-hop. Would you like to meet him? We had a brief lunch. He did mention his love of hip-hop.
Right.
And I mentioned to him the importance that I think this record is, to the legacy of hip-hop. Not even 60 days later, he put a strong offer in.
Yeah. Do you have any impressions of the guy? I mean, he's now many people think he's a total jerk, and he's. I mean, he's the BBC I think called him the most hated man in America, right?
Wow.
A lot of people. The guy's behaved in a lot of ways that have upset a lot of people, make him think he's What kind of a vibe did you get off the guy when you met him?
We talked briefly about where he come from. Yeah. Briefly, about what Wu-Tang mean. He was actually he was present at this. We did a thing at MoMA where we played the 12 minutes. And he was also in that audience. So he heard the 12 minutes and he just really enjoyed the music. I couldn't measure if he was a guy in college, I couldn't get it,
Yeah. So he buys the record, right? And then, Bloomberg Businessweek does this story that says that he's the buyer of it. You then found out, about kind of a little bit more about the guy, right? That he had jacked up the prices on these HIV drugs, and then, subsequent to that, he ends up getting charged with securities fraud, right?
Wow.
So that's all this stuff that's happened since then, right?
Right.
And I know you put out a statement, saying to the magazine, saying, hey, when we came to this agreement, this is all before I knew anything about all this stuff, and I don't really know anything about this, right? But he's then quoted someplace in December. He said about you. He said you were arrogant, and he said he'd given you a bunch of money, and he said, I'd encourage him to shut the up before he goes a little too far. We'll see what happens. I think he's a smart man. He definitely acts like his shit doesn't stink. And he invented rap, this concept of selling one album. This shit's backfiring for him now. That's what he said about you.
Wow.
That seems a little hostile.
That's a little hostile, but what could backfire from creating a piece of art, having an idea, and see it grow into fruition? As far as me being arrogant, it depends on what day you catch me, baby. Look, I could be arrogant, right? Yeah. But most people that know me, respect me because I am down to earth and very communicative.
Let's say he ends up going to jail for securities fraud. Does it bother you that guy has the one copy of this record? He even said the other day he hasn't listened to it yet. He doesn't know when he's going to listen to it.
Right.
You know, it's like he's kind of taunting people. I bought the one copy. I'm not even going to listen to the damn thing.
He bought it. He could do what he want, right? The power of art is that. So I could never discriminate if, you know, if the most greatest man in the world was the one who wanted to possess it, it would have been his objective. If my enemy came to an auction and was like, yo, I want that picture of RZA just to throw darts at it.
Yeah.
It's being auctioned. So that's something that, you know, I can never, ever, at this age of my life and through the years I've been, I can never discriminate who appreciate art.
So is there any way for that, given the nature of the contract, for more of the world to get to hear this record?
He has the power to do something really cool.
Right.
He can, if he want to be philanthropic, he can do something that could allow more people to hear the record. If he concurs to that, then that'll be something really good for art and really good for the Wu fans.
Later in January, Wu-Tang Clan member Ghostface Killah was asked about Shkreli by TMZ. He responded by calling him a shithead. A few days later, TMZ published a video response from Shkreli, who, stemless wine glass in hand, had 3 masked men placed behind him.
Dennis, I'm going to call you by your government name. You're not a Ghostface Killah. I'm sorry. In fact, you know, most people don't ever try to beef with me. Do you know why? Why do you guys think?
They ain't stupid like
Nobody's that dumb. Every one of my enemies, they try to stay anonymous. They try to stay out because, you know, it's just one of these things where, for whatever reason, you think it's okay to beef with me. But that's a big mistake. You know, at the end of the day, I'm very sorry for you. You're an old man. You're an old man that's lost his relevance, and you're trying to reclaim the spotlight from my spotlight. That's not going to work, Ghost. Dennis. In fact, I think that if you ever say some dumb shit again, this album, this Shaolin, I'm going to erase all your shit from this album.
Right here, man. Right here.
I'm going to erase you from the record books of rap. You're going to be done. You're my son. You have to listen to me. I butter your bread. You understand me?
You be a ghost for real, motherfucker.
Without you, without me, you're nothing. And so even though I pity you, I have to give you some punishment. I'm sorry. I'm not going to let this slide. I expect you to write me a written apology from the heart. Some contrition, some long letter where you explain your sorrow and sadness for what you've done. This
Not a cranes neither, motherfucker.
crayons. And you know, you think you're the only tough guy from New York City? I'm sorry, but you don't know us. We saw your boy kill a priest. We saw him getting pitched for what was it, 10 kilos of cocaine? Like some of that China white. And what did he do, Todd?
He's copping pleas like a little bitch to the police. He ain't even got no damn year sentence to his ass.
Yeah.
Copping pleas. I got kids.
I've got kids.
We all got kids out this motherfucker.
And you're crying to the Jake right away. Why is that? Why are your goons not as hard as mine?
Lift up your skirt, motherfucker.
Yeah, well look, Ghost, stop pretending, stop acting, stop lying. Be real, as your video once said. And don't ever mention my name again. Ever. Or there'll be more of a price to pay than just this video. I'm out.
During his February 3rd appearance on Power 105.1's The Breakfast Club, Shkreli added fuel to the fire.
You know,
Well, if you love hip hop, you'd never disrespect Ghostface Killah. I understand you feel like he came at you.
It was a tough decision. I'll be clear. It was a tough decision, but
because it actually will make hip hop people look at you crazy. Like, how dare he talk about you bought this?
Who is this Yakub's child?
This is Ghostface.
Talking
He's an
crazy to
icon
the god
in hip-hop,
Ghostface.
part of Wu-Tang Clan, one of the greatest groups of all time.
he's one of the greatest rappers ever. But he's still a man. He still bleeds the same blood as me, and is both red. And you want to talk? I'm not the one.
Do you think
That's
you
it.
have Michael Jackson's nose?
No, I got a beautiful nose. He should be one to talk. If he were here right now, I'd smack him right in the face.
No, you wouldn't.
All
Don't
right,
do that.
Absolutely.
Bring the door. Bring Ghost in the room.
You would not smack Ghostface.
Absolutely.
Would you buy his album?
Absolutely. I have all his albums. I got 36 seasons. I got everything.
36 Chambers. The hell is wrong with you?
Seasons.
Oh, yeah. That came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you said seasons.
you
Yeah,
trying
that's a Ghostface
trying to
solo
do.
album.
Now back
No,
to,
he's
Don-
right.
back
He's
to
right.
Donald Trump. Now he called you a young brat.
No,
Spoiled
back to
brat.
that.
was-
You will not smack Ghostface Killah.
If you say so, I'll do you that honor.
I'm just saying, Ghostface
Yeah.
got a lot of people that love
He
him.
smack fire out
and
you.
I know you're saying that, but you walk outside.
And
The streets
And
are still the
Ghost could fight.
streets.
Ghost
Anybody
could
can
fight.
I don't
get
think
it,
you want
Martin.
those problems. You would smack ghosts.
Martin,
Yes.
anybody can get it, Martin.
I know this.
And we're in the midst of this
You
whole
think
Black
they're-
Lives
you think-
Matter thing. Racial tension is at an all-time high. They'd love to chase you back to
Don't
the
make
Caucasus Mountains.
don't make it a race thing. At the end of the day, there's people in my family who've been shot and killed. You know, this.
Did you shoot him and kill him?
No.
If not, it doesn't matter. What
So
are
wait, if
talking
you
about?
smack ghosts and he,
All I'm
and he
saying
beats
is
you
that
up, would
you're-
that be justified on his part, though?
You can try, man.
Would you call the
Bring it
police on him if he beat you up?
What's that?
Would you call the police on
Hell
Ghost
no.
if he beat you up?
Hell no.
Say that on camera again.
I would never call the police. It's open season. Come at me. It don't matter.
Papa Wu.
It
Remember
don't
what you did
matter.
to Action Bronson?
It don't matter.
Do it to
man.
Martin
Open
Shkreli in here
season.
talking crazy.
Open season. And in fact, I think there's a saying y'all familiar with. It's called "I wish you would."
A few days later, Ghostface Killah issued a video response that doubled as a promotion for his CBD oil, Woo Goo.
This is the guy right here that planned on challenging me. The man with the 12-year-old body. This who he be. His name is Shkreli right there. When y'all see him, you know what I mean? But you know, I don't even know how it came to this like this. It's Ghost versus Peter Pan in like 2016. You know what I mean? All he could do right now is just try to fly away in front of my face, man. You know what I mean? But so this is him. Check his face out, man. Carved out nose, everything, you know what I'm saying? Walking around with fake goons like he's tough and he ain't got a real bone in his body. You know what I mean? He don't even know, the way he say goons is not even, it's not even official. You know what I mean? So I'm just letting y'all know, like, yo, he a fraud, man. And then on top of that, you gonna come at me after you done brought a Wu-Tang album for $2 million acting like we washed up rappers? Like I'm a washed up rapper, but you done brought a washed up rapper album for $2 million. You know what I mean? Who washed up now? I don't care how much money you got, because money don't make you a man, bro. Sometimes I wonder about you, seriously. Because I'm wondering, like, yo, man, was he jumping rope as a child? Was he playing hopscotch or eating ice cream with his fellas, and you know what I mean, or having sleepovers with the boys? You know what I'm saying? It's like, where did you go wrong at? You know what I mean? You coming, you doing all this promotion for nothing. What you doing right now is you promoting me, bruh. Listen, man, my middle knuckle is bigger than all my knuckles on his hand right here, bruh. You ain't got a scratch on your middle knuckle. You know what I mean? You ain't been through nothing. You never ate. You never been in the crib with well-fed cheese and fried bologna and all that stuff like that for dinner at nighttime, man. Don't come to me with that little punk ass shit. Yo, this the dude that raised the pill from $13 a pill to like $750, man. He raised it by 5,000%, man. People can't pay that much, man. Sometimes people need the pills for the whole month, man. For the whole month. You know what I mean? And you're gonna raise it from $750 per pill? It's like, yo, how they gonna live, man? You a real killer, man. You a killer, man. But you a soft killer, man. You a baby, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like something wrong with you, man. You on Ritalin or something, man. You know what I mean? You don't do that to the people, man. They need that. They need that. Right now, you got them weak right now because they don't even know where they're gonna run and go get their medicine from now because of you. You's a clown.
You get the idea. So here's how I happened to speak with Shkreli. On May 27th, Shkreli tweeted the following: I haven't been called by the Trump camp. I support him versus Hillary. He should find a VP candidate who is seasoned in politics. An ugly game. The same day, Colin Dalida of Mashable published an article titled, America's Most Hated Man Endorses Its Most Hated Presidential Candidate. On May 28th, Shkreli published his phone number, 646-217-2783, on Twitter, and asked people who hate him to call him to prove to Dalida that this was not true. From there, he tweeted back and forth with me, and I dialed the phone number without a redial button, I might add, for more than 30 minutes. Finally, I got through. And now, my conversation with Martin Shkreli.
Hello?
Hey, Martin, it's Rob Burgess. I tweeted at you just a few minutes ago here.
How are you?
Good, how are you, man?
Good.
Good. I'm recording this for my podcast. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Oh, okay, cool. What's the response been like since you posted this number here?
pretty much only positive. I really can't find someone who hates me, which is unfortunate because the media says I'm the most hated man in America. And typically, if people really hated you and you posted your phone number, maybe you'd get an earful from someone, but no one's really done that yet.
Right. Well, I mean, I've personally written an editorial about what you did. I don't hate you personally because obviously I don't know you, but I don't really care for what you're well known for. But, I mean, I don't know if that counts as hating you personally. I don't know if you want to count that, but...
I'll take it.
Okay. So what's your response to people like me that think that what you did was unfair to the people that needed the AIDS medicine here?
I don't think you understand how our healthcare system works. It's not unfair at all. In fact, we're probably doing for the first time, we're doing something good for patients with neglected derivative illnesses of HIV, which most companies wouldn't even care to try to treat. I think you got it backwards.
Okay. I mean, I'm willing to be, educated or whatever if I'm wrong, but doesn't it seem like even if you're sticking it to because I mean, I've heard your argument where you said that if you're actually what you're doing is you're sticking it to the insurance companies and not, what's that?
Yeah, I'm just going to say I don't think we're sticking it to anyone because this is a drug that's, even after this price increase, still one of the smallest revenue-producing drugs in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's it being stuck to because before this drug was like the bottom of the barrel of drugs that made any money. It was generating maybe $5 million of revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And after the price increase, it's not generating that much more. Some people project it at $30 million. That's still a pretty tiny drug. So I don't know, compared to Humira, which does $18 billion in revenue, or $4 trillion healthcare system, I don't know that $30 million is sticking it to anyone.
Okay. Well, I mean, the thing I had heard is that, even you said that if people can't personally pay for it, you'll out of your own pocket do it for people. Has that situation happened where people have contacted you to get this drug because they couldn't pay for it and they did? I know you've offered that, but have people reached out to you in that way?
70% of the drug we sell is for free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'm a Wu-Tang fan, so I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the status of that Wu-Tang album. What's happening with it here?
The status is I own it and nobody else does, and that's pretty much the way it's going to be forever.
So Wu-Tang is for the children? No, nobody's going to get to hear that for all times?
Oh, well, Wu-Tang was for the children. They shouldn't have sold me the album.
Fair enough.
Go bother the RZA.
Okay. Has this changed your feeling about the music of Wu-Tang, being that, Ghostface Killah is obviously not your biggest fan at this point?
Yeah, music is art, Their opinion is short-sighted. I think the RZA has a very positive opinion of me, for instance, and, I'm sure Ghost would too, but, he's got an image and a persona. Music is they're in the entertainment business. They can't alienate their fans. They got to do what they got to do.
Mm-hmm. Right. So do you feel like you have a persona? You talked about them having a persona. It seems like you kind of revel in this idea that you're you're obviously doing this to prove people wrong that you're not the most hated person, but
we all have a persona, right?
What's that?
We all have a persona of some kind. So yeah, I do. I like to start fights, be a rabble-rouser, so sure.
Mm-hmm. Right. But, you seem to get offended when people take you up on that persona. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing this to say, I'm not the most hated, I'm only getting support, but it almost seems like you, in some ways, I, of course, saw that video where you had the people...
I've tried to be hated, and it's hard. You'd be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I've just left my phone open. And, invariably there are people who will call, like yourself, who are pretty reasonable, and they'll call and they'll be like, all right, look, I read the articles, I didn't like it, explain it to me. And with enough time, I usually can help people understand I'm actually a pretty reasonable person.
Mm-hmm.
But, if someone calls me and they say that, they want to fight me or that, I look ugly or something, I'm going to be just as crass back to them. But, I just had a nice 20-minute discussion with a woman who has loved ones with cystic fibrosis, and she ended up sort of seeing it my way. So I think, it's the truth is pretty obvious. I think that psychologically people see me as someone that's easy to hate. So if you need to hate someone in your life because you're frustrated at something or whatever, then I'm a decent person to throw your anger at. But if you actually take a real hard look at what's going on, it's no longer that easy to hate. So, so anyway, that's sort of how I feel about it.
Well, I have heard the argument as far as the drugs go, and I was explaining this to someone else, and they were like, yeah, but from people that I've talked to in the healthcare industry, America pays for the rest of the world as far as, there's controls on the cost of drugs around the world, and their argument was, and I'm guessing that yours would be too, that, sure, these other countries have these price controls, but they're only able to have that because, America, it doesn't. Is that...
It's complicated, I answered this question a little bit earlier. I don't know that most new innovative medicine is sort of, is more or less paid for by, everyone in the developed countries. So I don't know that that's totally true. Like Celgene's blockbuster cancer drug actually costs more in Europe than the United States. So there's definitely, it's complicated. It's not easy to put in one soundbite, which I think a lot of people want to do. Anyway, I got to keep it moving.
Okay. Well, thanks for talking, man.
Sure, dude.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Let me be clear. I have loved the Wu-Tang Clan since I was in college, and Ghostface Killah is one of the best rappers ever. And I'll admit to a healthy dose of schadenfreude when I heard about Shkreli being hauled away in handcuffs and having to explain himself to Congress. But whatever you think of Shkreli, give him credit for doing what he didn't have to do. He didn't have to put his phone number on social media during a time which he would be available. Also, if everyone else I'm interested in talking to could just go ahead and do that, this show would be much more easier to book. He didn't have to agree to be recorded for this podcast. He could have just as easily declined. He didn't have to answer every question I put to him without hesitation. He didn't have to talk for almost 10 minutes. So Martin, if you're listening, you're welcome back anytime. I had a ton more questions we didn't even get to. But if nothing else comes of this, I can always say I got more out of Shkreli than the House of Representatives did, right? I want to thank Josh Sigler and Brandon Chapman of the Sounding Off with Chap and Sig podcast for the shout-outs on their last 2 episodes. If you're into unfiltered sports talk, I highly suggest checking them out on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can help The Rob Burgess Show reach a wider audience by rating, reviewing, and subscribing to the podcast on iTunes at tinyurl.com/The Rob Burgess Show. You can also find The Rob Burgess Show on Stitcher at the-Rob-Burgess-Show, Google Play Music at tinyurl.com/The Rob Burgess Show Google Play, TuneIn at tinyurl.com/The Rob Burgess Show TuneIn, YouTube at tinyurl.com/The Rob Burgess Show YouTube. You can also subscribe directly to the RSS feed at tinyurl.com/The Rob Burgess Show RSS. If you're an Android user, visit subscribeonandroid.com/tinyurl.com/The Rob Burgess Show RSS. You can find more about me by visiting my website, www.thisburgess.com. Follow on Twitter at Rob Burgess Show. Like the page on Facebook at The Rob Burgess Show. Follow on SoundCloud at The-Rob-Burgess-Show. The email for the show is TheRobBurgessShow@gmail.com. And until next time, thank you for listening.